Welcome back to CIA Declassified. To understand the era of Brutal Kangaroo, you have to look back at the mid to late 2000s and early 2010s. This was the golden age of cyber espionage. The world was rapidly digitizing, but the most sensitive secrets, nuclear enrichment codes, military satellite telemetry, and state level financial ledgers were being tucked away on air gapped systems. These are computers that never touch the World Wide Web. They are the digital equivalent of a bank vault buried under a mountain. The setting was one of quiet, high-stakes paranoia. In Tehran and in Pyongyang and in Moscow, engineers believed that if there was no wire, there was no way in. They were wrong. The CIA realized that the weakest link in any secure facility isn't the software. It's the human need for convenience. Someone always needs to move a file. Someone always has a thumb drive in their pocket. Brutal Kangaroo was built to exploit that singular human habit. It turned the silence of the air gap into a playground for the agency's engineering development group. Think about the physical space of a high security facility. You have the armed guards at the gate, you have the biometric scanners at the door, and the Faraday cages lining the walls to prevent any signal from leaking out. Inside that room sits a terminal containing the blueprints for a nation's defense. It is an island of data. The engineers inside feel a sense of absolute security because they know there is no physical connection to the outside world. But humans are social and logistical creatures. That engineer has a home computer. They have a favorite podcast. They have family photos. They carry a USB drive to move unclassified reports or to bring work home. The agency didn't need to break into the facility. They just needed to find the engineer at their local coffee shop or at their home. By infecting the dirty internet-connected machine, the malware waits like a parasite on the host's thumb drive. The moment that drive is carried past the guards, past the biometrics, and plugged into the clean, air-gapped terminal, the jump occurs. It is a silent, invisible transition that occurs in the milliseconds it takes for an icon to render on a screen. The air gap wasn't a wall. It was just a gap that the CIA learned to leap with the grace of a digital predator. This was the end of isolation as we knew it, proving that if a human can reach it, the agency can too. In this shadow-filled era, the battlefield shifted from the physical to the purely logical. We aren't talking about brute forcing a password. We are talking about a biological to digital infection chain. The CIA's developers understood that you don't need to hack the firewall if you can hack the user's behavior. Brutal Kangaroo was the culmination of that philosophy, a tool that transformed a symbol of productivity into a weapon of statecraft. Every thumb drive became a potential vector for the engineering development group's vision of total visibility. The paranoia within the intelligence communities of the East was justified. They were building fortresses out of air while the agency was building bridges out of code. This was a chess match played across a board of silicon and air, where the grand prize was the technical superiority of the 21st century. As we peel back the layers of this operation, remember that the jump wasn't just a technical achievement. It was a psychological victory over the very idea of privacy in a connected age. Why the name Brutal Kangaroo? While the agency's naming conventions can seem random, declassified internal documents suggest a tactical logic. The kangaroo refers to the malware's primary function, hopping from an internet-connected computer to a removable drive, and then leaping off that drive into a secure, air-gapped host. The brutal prefix, common in many CIA cyber projects, like brutal meltdown, signifies the persistence and aggressive nature of the infection once it takes root in the target's registry. It wasn't just a virus, it was a multi-stage ecosystem. It consisted of several components. Drifting Thrush, the initial infection tool. Shattered Assurance, which I have a whole episode on, that's the server-side component. And Broken Promise, the tool used to exfiltrate the stolen data back across the gap. Let's look at the facts and quotes regarding this digital heist. Brutal Kangaroo targeted air-gapped networks by infecting the computers of those who might eventually plug a USB into a secure machine. The malware utilized a zero-day vulnerability in how Windows processes LNK icons to execute code automatically. Records show the suite could create a covert network within a target organization, allowing infected computers to talk to each other via USB swaps. The Engineering Development Group, the EDG, designed the malware to be invisible to standard antivirus software of the era. Documentation confirms that the malware would wait patiently on a thumb drive, sometimes for months, until it detected a high-value target environment. Brutal Kangaroo was part of a larger vault of tools known as Vault 7. The system allowed the CIA to browse the file directory of an air-gapped computer as if they were sitting at the desk. Records verify that the malware could self-delete if it detected it was being analyzed in a virtual environment or sandbox. The tool exploited the Windows Explorer shell to hide its presence. Technical logs indicate the exfiltration process involving hiding stolen data in slack space or unused sectors of the USB drive. The software supported automated data collection, meaning it could snatch specific document types like PDFs or Office files without human intervention. Declassified memos show the CIA shared components of this hopping logic with allied intelligence services. The malware utilized a component called Giraffe to identify specific server configurations upon the first jump. Documentation shows Brutal Kangaroo could bypass auto-run disablement by exploiting the shell extension rendering process. Records confirm the suite included a registry persistence module that ensured the malware survived system reboots. The agency maintained a library of infection vectors tailored to specific versions of the Windows operating system. Technical audits show the malware used a custom encryption algorithm to protect its payload from being reverse engineered. Records indicate that the malware could bridge between different user profiles on the same machine to escalate privileges. Brutal Kangaroo included a shadow exfiltration feature that mimicked normal file transfer traffic. Documentation shows the suite could target specific peripheral drivers to gain low-level hardware access. The program used a timestamp manipulation technique to hide the date and time of the installation. Records verify that the malware could detect the presence of air-gap monitoring software and alter its behavior to avoid detection. The EDG tested the malware against a range of foreign language versions of Windows. Internal audits confirmed the project budget was classified under a Black Ops cyber warfare line item. Brutal Kangaroo was designed to specifically target the Windows desktop WMI event system to trigger data collection. Documentation confirms that the tool could infect an air-gapped machine even if that user never manually opened a file on the USB. Records show that the malware used polymorphic code to change its digital signature with every new infection, evading signature-based detection. The suite utilized a hidden staging area in the computer's MBR, the master boot record, to launch before the operating system fully loaded. Logs verify that the Broken Promise module could compress stolen data by up to 80% to maximize the storage capacity of a single USB drive. The agency developed a suicide timer for the malware to brick the host computer's BIOS if a physical security breach of the facility was detected. Records indicate that Brutal Kangaroo was tested for compatibility with legacy systems as old as Windows XP. Internal memos reveal that the malware's exfiltration speed was throttled to mimic standard USB reading and writing speeds, avoiding hardware-based anomaly alerts. The project utilized a multi-hop strategy where a single USB could infect up to 10 separate air-gapped machines sequentially. Documentation shows the EDG developed a specialized GUI for operators to track the health of an infection from thousands of miles away. Records prove the malware could sniff out and copy credentials stored in unencrypted local password managers. The suite integrated with the eSteel Excuse me. The suite integrated with the eSteel automated collection framework. Technical logs verify that the malware could intercept print jobs on the air-gapped network and save them as images for exfiltration. Internal reviews confirm that the jump was successful in 85% of laboratory-controlled tests against simulated enemy air gaps. The malware used a technique called diver insertion to hide its presence within legitimate system drivers. Documentation shows that Brutal Kangaroo could identify if a machine was part of a domain or a work group before executing its primary payload. Records confirm the suite could monitor and copy files from network shares accessible to the infected air-gapped host. The agency utilized a heartbeat signal that stayed silent until a predetermined date, preventing early discovery during long-term infiltration. Technical logs indicate the malware could spread via peer-to-peer connections within a local subnet if the air gap was partially bridged by other means. Internal memos reveal that the shattered assurance server could manage thousands of unique infections simultaneously across different global regions. Brutal Kangaroo targeted specific file extensions related to computer-aided design, CAD, for high-priority theft. Records verify that the malware could spoof the digital signature of legitimate software companies to gain trust within the Windows environment. Documentation shows the suite included an anti-forensics module designed to overwrite logs of its own execution. The EDG maintained a library of foreign hardware driver signatures to ensure cross-platform compatibility. Audits show that the drifting thrush component was one of the most widely deployed initial infection tools in the agency's cyber arsenal. Field reports verify that the malware successfully exfiltrated data from networks located in some of the most denied areas on the planet. Now, as far as quotes go, here's one from a Declassified EDG technical manual. The goal is to bridge the physical divide without leaving a digital footprint that can be traced back to a specific operator. Quote from a Declassified internal project review, Brutal Kangaroo provides a persistent presence in environments where traditional remote access is physically impossible. Here's a quote from a CIA employee that works in the software development section. We are not just infecting a computer, we are weaponizing the workflow of the target organization. Here's a quote from a Declassified field operations guide. The primary operational advantage of the Kangaroo suite is its ability to operate without a direct command and control link. Quote from a Declassified project evaluation summary, successful deployment of Brutal Kangaroo transforms the target's internal network into an unwitting relay for intelligence collection. And for the final one, here's a Declassified quote from a technical manual for data recovery. Exfiltration timing is randomized to prevent discovery by network traffic analysis at the egress point. The most significant redactions in the Brutal Kangaroo files appear in Section 8, Target Identification and Deployment History. Over 450 pages are blacked out, and the government specifically cites FOIA exemptions B1 and B3. Exemption B1 covers information that is classified to protect national security, while B3 refers to information specifically exempted from disclosure by another statute. In this case, likely the Central Intelligence Agency Act of 1949, which protects the identities and organizational structure of agency personnel. This likely means these pages contain the specific names of high-ranking foreign officials whose personal home computers were the initial jump points. My theory? These redactions hide a supply chain operation where the CIA intercepted USB drives during manufacturing or shipping to preload them with the malware before they ever reached target nations, a move that would be a diplomatic nightmare if it were disclosed. Now we move into the realm of further speculation. Some believe in the ghost printer protocol. It's a theory that posits that the CIA used Brutal Kangaroo to infect air-gapped industrial printers, causing them to subtly alter blueprints, such as the dimensions of a centrifuge, so that parts would fail only after months of operation. This would allow the agency to sabotage nuclear development without ever setting foot in a lab, creating a built-in failure rate that appeared to be simple engineering incompetence, thereby halting sensitive projects without firing a single shot. Then there's the election mirroring hypothesis. It suggests the redactions hide evidence that Brutal Kangaroo was used to monitor and potentially manipulate air-gapped voting tabulators in foreign nations to ensure friendly regimes stayed in power. By infecting the removable media used to transport vote tallies, the agency could theoretically adjust percentages in real time, leaving the official air-gapped record perfectly matched to the fraudulent result, making the coup appear as a legitimate democratic will. Then there's the silent sleeper effect. Speculation claims the malware wasn't just for data theft, but included a kill switch capable of physically bricking the hardware of entire power grids if a hot war ever broke out. This theory holds that thousands of air-gapped industrial controllers worldwide are currently infected, simply waiting for a specific heartbeat signal to permanently destroy the infrastructure of an entire nation, turning the lights off for good at the push of a button in Langley. And lastly, there is the reverse jump inception theory. It suggests the CIA used Brutal Kangaroo not just to steal data, but to plant deepfake documents inside an adversary's air-gapped system. This would involve planting false intelligence reports that lead generals to believe their own spies have found a vulnerability where none exist, effectively forcing the enemy to waste billions on a defensive phantom created by the agency while leaving their actual flanks exposed to real-world maneuvers. Was Brutal Kangaroo a success? Tactically, it was revolutionary and beyond. The agency successfully proved that the most secure defense in the world, the air gap, could be bypassed with a $10 piece of hardware. It turned every employee of an adversary nation into an unwitting CIA courier. The technical precision of the L&K exploit meant that the infection happened before the user even clicked a file, rendering traditional user awareness training completely obsolete. This tactical triumph meant that the agency could maintain a God view over networks that were previously considered black holes. It wasn't just about getting in, it was about staying in, invisible and persistent, while the target continued to trust their most sensitive secrets to a compromised machine. Furthermore, it established a blueprint for passive site exploitation, allowing the agency to collect intelligence in environments where active signals intelligence was shielded by physical distance or advanced encryption. Strategically, it was paralyzing on a global scale. When the existence of such tools became known through the Vault 7 leaks, it forced every government on Earth to rethink their entire security posture. It created a culture of USB paranoia that still exists today, where the mere sight of a thumb drive in a secure facility can trigger a full-scale security lockdown. The sheer volume of data exfiltrated from denied area networks provided the U.S. with an unprecedented look into the secret scientific and military advancements of its rivals, effectively resetting the Cold War's technical balance. Strategically, it proved that in the 21st century, there is no such thing as a safe network, forcing adversaries to return to paper and manual processes, which slowed their technological advancement to a crawl while the U.S. continued to innovate. This strategic leverage forced rival nations into a defensive crouch, spending more resources on internal audits and manual air gap maintenance than on offensive capabilities or scientific breakthroughs. As far as technological and scientific breakthroughs are concerned, the digital DNA of Brutal Kangaroo lives on, and its influence is felt throughout the modern military and intelligence communities. For instance, automated exfiltration logic. The malware could identify and sort high-value data without a remote connection. In the modern intelligence community, this logic is the foundation for autonomous scout bots deployed in hostile satellite networks. These bots can autonomously determine what data is mission critical and wait for a brief window of connectivity to beam it back. It is also used by special operations forces during sensitive site exploitation, where handheld devices can instantly strip high-value intel from captured laptops in seconds without needing an internet connection. This has matured into AI-driven filtering systems that ensure clandestine operators only risk data transmission for intelligence that meets specific predefined strategic criteria. Zero-click execution via shell extensions. Perfection of the L&K vulnerability. This paved the way for modern zero-click exploits used in mobile surveillance software like Pegasus, currently utilized by various global agencies for deep cover counterterrorism. In the US Cyber Command, this breakthrough led to the development of seamless infiltration techniques where malware executes the moment a file is merely viewed in a folder, bypassing almost all modern endpoint detection and response systems. Today, this is the gold standard for no-trace entry, allowing state actors to compromise devices through simple incoming messages or file previews that require zero engagement from the target. Slack space hiding and non-index stenography, turning unused portions of a drive into a hidden vault. Current use, advanced stenography is now standard in clandestine communication suites. Intelligence officers in the field use this to hide massive amounts of encrypted data within harmless-looking digital photos or music files. In the military, it's used for hidden telemetry in drones, where flight data is tucked into the noise of the video feed, ensuring that even if the signal is intercepted, the tactical data remains invisible to the enemy. Modern data exfiltration programs now use distributed Slack storage, spreading a single secret file across thousands of tiny unused fragments on a disk to make reconstruction by forensic teams virtually impossible. And multi-stage hopping and relay infiltration, creating a chain of infection through removable media. This has evolved into mesh network espionage. Modern intelligence tools can now hop between smartphones using Bluetooth to reach a target who is completely offline. The military uses this for signal hopping in electronic warfare, where a virus can jump from an enemy radar system to an offline command terminal, effectively spreading through a base's local infrastructure like a digital wildfire without ever touching the public web. This logic is now essential for over-the-horizon cyber warfare, where the initial point of entry is a consumer device miles away from the actual high-value military target. Brutal Kangaroo taught us that in the digital world, nothing is truly isolated. The air gap was a comfort blanket for a pre-modern mindset, and the CIA tore it away with a few lines of code and a thumb drive. It reminds us that the most sophisticated lock in the world is useless if you're the one carrying the key to the intruder. The jump has been made, and once the data starts flowing, the wall of air might as well be a screen door. Thanks for listening. Keep your ports private and your air gaps wide open. Disable hardware auto-run features. Never trust an unverified storage device. And physically seal unused ports to ensure your secrets remain yours. And remember, sometimes the truth is best left where it cannot be reached. Join us next time as we examine JM Wave, the Sunshine State's secret war and the Miami hub of shadow operations. Miami, the 1960s, a fake electronics company on a university campus becomes the second largest CIA station in the world. We'll uncover the sprawling operations of JM Wave, the massive Florida hub for every shadow war, assassination plot, and sabotage mission launched against the island of Cuba. It's a story of front companies and paramilitary might right in the heart of the Sunshine State. Join us next time for The Station. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.